Ornamental gardens of the antebellum period were traditionally formal in design, consisting of parterre, which comes from French. It means parterre, on the ground, a level space in a garden or yard that's occupied by an ornamental arrangement of flower beds. These were very popular in the antebellum period. They were traditionally formal in design and used simple geometric patterns. They were often surrounded by decorative fence or a formal hedge, which defined the space and provided protection against intrusion of livestock and other domestic animals. The parterres were composed of a combination of geometric shapes, including squares, triangles, rectangles, and circles. They were arranged to create a variety of patterns. One example from the garden of Richard Richardson was reported to have contained ornamental plantings of camellias, oleanders, and crepe myrtles. According to an account contained in Gardens of Colony and State, this garden had a pattern that was rather unusual, with oval beds, which were all edged with dwarf box. Additional plants grown in the garden included banana shrub, sweet olive, purple and white wisteria, English jasmine, ivy, and a great many roses, syringa, Guernsey lilies, iris, narcissus, Roman hyacinth, snowdrops, anemones, asters, pansies, and larkspurs. Also remember that Savannah itself, the city was designed to have many parks. Pretty much every street had an intersection that would look out over a large green space. Regardless of space or location, formality and strict adherence to rules of geometry generally characterized ornamental gardens of the Antebellum South, creating patterns that reflected symmetry, balance, proportion, and scale. Forms and features of antebellum gardens and landscapes included avenues, groves, fences, and hedges. Lawns were uncommon due to climate and maintenance. An avenue is tree-lined. Tree-lined avenues are as old as antiquity, dating to Persian and Roman times. They served as ceremonial entrances to manor house or estate. They conveyed a sense of ownership, power, strength, and control. Avenues of live oak trees were planted in the low country of South Carolina. Groves represent one of the oldest forms of garden art. Dating back to Greek and Roman times, the use of groves continued throughout the Middle Ages, and by the 18th century have become an essential element in English landscape. Groves often contained native plant trees that were left in the area. The live oak was a favorite in the South. Fences often protected the formal front yards. There were decorative fences, which could be picket or made of pales, but there were also utilitarian fences used around the farms to enclose yards, work yards, kitchen gardens, pastures, agricultural crops, farmland, and could screen work yards as well. Hedges were also very popular and were often created out of native plants, such as the evergreen tree cascine, red cedar, certain deciduous shrubs, also the holly and the box, Buxus sempervirens. Two other popular ones were Cherokee rose and Osage orange, and hedges were often used in place of wooden fences to save cost and maintenance. The Thomas Grant House Parterre Garden, which still reflects its original design, encompassing an area of approximately 2,000 square feet. The pattern of the garden is based on a series of circles and symmetrical forms that are interlaced by an intricate network of walks and paths. Individual beds were bordered with box and originally planted with bulbs, peonies, iris, daylilies, violets, pinks, roses, crepe myrtle, and cherry laurel. Over time, these plantings were supplemented with a variety of ornamental shrubs, including spirea, sweet shrub, yucca, tea olive, flowering quince, lilacs, althea, mock orange, snowball, and tea plants. The garden originally contained a number of large trees, which added balance and scale to the overall plan. Prominent among these were southern magnolias, American elm, oak, red cedar, and white mulberries. A decorative picket fence separated the garden from the street, and a clipped evergreen hedge enclosed it along the sides. The Caldwell House and Grounds contain a series of gardens that have evolved over time. The earliest of these is an elaborate parterre laid out shortly after 1830. The parterre is composed of 4 rectangles of varying sizes divided by intersecting walks. Each of these quadrants of the parterre are connected by an informal arrangement of sanded paths bordered with English boxwood, much like the Robert Mills house. Individual beds are planted with evergreens, including camellias, tea plants, anise, cherry, and laurel, creating a harmonious carpet of green throughout the year. Many of the old trees, which are strategically located throughout the garden, provide shade and seasonal color. Included among these are towering ginkgo, evergreen magnolias, and an enormous incense cedar. Additional plants that enhance the garden include crepe myrtle, mountain laurel, banana shrub, azaleas, sweet shrub, althea, spirea, nandina, and chaste tree. Regardless of space or location, formality and strict adherence to rules of geometry generally characterize ornamental gardens of the Antebellum South, creating patterns that reflected symmetry, balance, proportion, and scale. Forms and features of antebellum gardens and landscapes included avenues, groves,